Hi guys, Jenny back again with part 9 of my mini album swap for Tradewind Scrappers for the month of January, and I'm just punching out some postage stamp dies using my Big Shot, and I'm using 2 pieces of the chipboard and a piece of designer paper, and I'm just making a corner pocket for either a tag or a photo mat, and I'm just sizing up some acetate. This can either be used to insert a mini photo or a saying or something like that, or you can actually use it to hold a tag or a photo. So now just applying some glossy accents to the postage stamp cutout and attaching the second piece of chipboard to that. And now getting ready to apply the acetate piece. And now just applying the glossy accents to the designer paper, and that'll get placed on top of the acetate. Just using a paper towel to remove any excess glossy accents, and then using a wet paper towel there with to remove any of the glossy accents that may have spilled out onto the acetate piece. And so now just applying the glossy accents to the bottom and the right hand side of that piece, to leave the left hand side and the top side free to insert a tag or a photo, and just applying some pressure there to make sure that it's bonding. And I didn't really want to do too much more to that page because I just love that paper, it's so pretty. So just testing that out now, make sure there was enough room underneath. And now just grabbing a shipping tag and cutting it down to size. Testing it out there, making sure I've cut enough off it, and now using the old faithful vintage photo distress ink and edging all around the edges of that tag, and then just grabbing a piece of journaling paper and rounding the edges of it. And I selected this journal piece because it had a bird on it, and there's birds on the designer paper that's on the page, and just giving it a vintage look there by sponging the vintage photo distress ink all over the page, all over the journaling piece, and just adhering it down using my ATG. And I thought it needed a little bit more there to give it a bit more character, so I decided to grab a clear stamp of the word fly, and using the brown or timber brown stays on ink, stamping that up in the top right hand corner of the tag, and then also another little bird on the left hand side from the same stamp set. And sorry, I don't know where this one came from. I didn't keep the original packaging. So that's that side finished, and now just selecting some designer paper to cover the back of the tag. And I prefer to either draw some journaling lines on the back of the tag, or use the some designer paper. I don't like to leave it blank. And now just inking around the edges with vintage photo distress ink, and then punching a hole through to the designer paper on the back that I just covered the hole up with. And instead of inserting an eyelet, I'm just selecting a brad, and then on the other side I'll just cover that with a flower. And I don't like using just the one flower, so I grabbed one and then another, a smaller one, and the colouring of the smaller one wasn't quite as vintage looking as I liked, so it needed to be distressed a bit more. So I just sponged some distress ink on there, vintage photo, and now just grabbing a clear handwriting script stamp and just applying some timber brown stays on ink on that, and stamping over that smaller flower there. And then attaching those two flowers together with a brad. And you can put some journaling paper on there later on, or you can put a photo on the back of the tag, but at least your background's there. Okay, so just adhering that to the tag with a glue dot. Just to hide the back of that brad. And now just testing it out on the page. Slips in fine. So that's that page complete. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part 10. Bye.